So let's put him on a scale of 1 to 10. If he's in the positive over here and he's the decision maker, then we're going to go ahead and move into the closing stage, and this is where we're going to wrap up tonight. The idea here is you want to move into this section with a plan. Okay, what is your plan? Is your plan to go ahead and make an offer because you know all about the property and you understand now what the money numbers are for him and the timing and all that? So you've got enough information that you can make an offer, or do you need to set an appointment later to make an offer with a highly motivated seller? Okay, my recommendation is that you go into the closing stage with a plan of setting a strong second appointment to make an offer with this highly motivated homeowner. If you're making second appointments with unmotivated homeowners, you're going to be wasting your time and getting discouraged. So only set these second appointments with those who you really, really think give a damn about what you have to say. Does that make sense? Or am I crazy? I might be crazy. Hell, I don't know. If it is, I like it.
A little bit of both, maybe?
Yeah, a little bit of both. Now, when I go into the closing stage, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to recap this story. The answers to these 4 questions created a story. Okay? They created a story. Now, it's important that I tell him that story back to him or her. You know, Mr. Homeowner, it sounds to me like you're ready to get out of that house like this month is what you said, because you had a job offer, whatever he said, why he was going to move or needed to move, whatever. You need to recap his story back to him. You said you wanted $199,000 or $97,000 for a $199,000 house. You're ready to do this right away. And you said that you were able to make a commitment. If I was able to make an offer to you, that was great. I'm really excited about this. Does all that sound right to you, sir? Okay, I'm recapping. That's all I'm doing. What does this do? What does this do? Somebody help me out. What does this do when you recap what they just, all the story that they just shared and created in your mind with you by answering your silly questions? What does recapping that story back to them do to them psychologically?
Salt on the wound.
Yeah, but other things too. Salt on the wound.
Confirming their story.
Say it again, Ed.
Confirming their story.
You confirmed their story, which means you listened to them.
Yeah, it means that you're listening to them and that they can kind of bond with you. That you're
yes,
right.
Bond, another bonding. Yeah, exactly, Antonio. So you have to recap. Now, what'll happen here if during these first 4 question times here, the why, the money, the timing, if you just glaze over this and you don't get into the follow-up questions we were talking about, if you don't do the follow-up questions and you just get surface level answers here in this stage, what happens when you go to recap the story?
You don't have nothing to recap.
You ain't got shit to say. Right? You ain't got nothing important to say. And this is what's happening a lot to us when we get in here in this conversation. We get to this point and we know we're supposed to recap, but we recap like this. Yeah, so you want 197, it's worth 199. You want to do this pretty quick? Okay, cool. How about if I call you later and make an offer? Okay, that's amateur. Okay. Here's more like what a recap sounds like. You know, Mr. Homeowner, I hear what you're saying, and you guys are trying to get out of that house this month. You're asking 197 for it. You think it's worth about 199, so pretty close there. And you'd like to do something this month if you could. And you said you're ready to make a decision if I can make an offer that fits you. You're ready to do that. Is all that right? That's what a recap sounds like. Okay, except I'm going to probably have even more details about actually what his story is. Like, oh, you got a job offer and you needed to move, or hey, the wife left you and you guys split up and now you got a big house. Oh, you need to downsize because the grandkids rarely come over anymore because of the pandemic. And so, you know, whatever the story is, got to include some of those deets. Yeah, it bonds, it builds trust, it shows that you care, it shows that your offer is going to be relevant to their needs and not just some shot in the dark bullshit like everybody else makes. Okay. So you've already got a commitment from him that if it fits, he'll say yes. Okay. So now we're going to recap so we understand what the problems are, what the situation is. So now we can make an offer that fits. So if we do, he'll say yes. Okay. Does that make sense? All right. I hope so. You might have to catch the replay. Now, the next step in the closing stage is if I solve or satisfy. If, in quotations. I want you to practice saying that word if. Okay? Now, most of the time, homeowners are going to want you to talk about making a cash offer right here in this section right now. At this very moment in the conversation, at the if stage, they're going to want you to talk about cash. And here's how you deal with that. I've got another video out recently. I did the 7 pitfalls, and this is one of them. This is one of the pitfalls right here. You have to be willing to say this. Mr. Homeowner, if I were to make you a cash offer, it would be way below what you're asking, and I don't think that would make you or me very happy. So let's take that off the table and call it over and be done with that. Okay? Now, real quick before I go, if I were able to give you the full asking price, how about not 197, but the 199 that it's worth? Would you consider doing something a little creative with me and let me rent it from you for 24 months before paying that off? Is that something we could talk about? Or maybe not. Okay, do you see what I've done here? I went from the if to asking the question. But you set the question up with if. Okay, let me go through it again, and I'll slow it down a little bit so you can hear the transitions. I'm going to recap their story. Mr. Homeowner, this is the situation, the money, the timing. You said you could commit today if you're ready to do something real fast and all that. Okay, that's wonderful. So do I got that right? Yeah, I do. Okay, wonderful. You know, if I were to make you a cash offer today as an investor, it would be way below what you're asking. So unfortunately, I'll have to take the cash offer off of the table and call that done. But real quick, before I go, if I were to not beat you up on price, not ask you to reduce the price, would you consider doing something creative with me and allow me to rent the house from you for the next 18 months and then pay it off in full? Is that something we can talk about, or are we done? Okay. And I know some of you are writing furiously. I love you guys. Thank you. You flatter me. So I recapped, and then I start ifs, the if game. If I were to make you a cash offer, it'd be too low. Now, what if you're talking to an ugly house guy? He's got an ugly house. Okay. Well, then you might need to make a low cash offer. Okay. But in these pretty house cases, if I were to make you a cash offer, it would be too low because I'm an investor. That makes sense, doesn't it? Okay. So let's call that over and done. But before I go, if I were to not beat you up on price, if I were to give you the full 197, could we do a little creative thing here and get you out of that property? Maybe you even tag on a little bit more of their story there. Maybe could I get you out of that property this month, give you full price for it, but do it in 24 months and we'll rent it in the meantime? Is that something we can talk about? You see, get loose with it, get fluid with it, get confident with it, okay? But you're going to have to go from the recap to the if to the ask, okay? What's the best way to ask a question? Anybody? What's the best way to ask a question?
Who, what, when, where, and how.
The best way to ask a question, yeah, Ed, you're right. It's just to open your mouth and ask. I do, of course, because we decided the plan was, if you recall, the plan was to get all the way through here to the closing stage and set an appointment to make an offer. Okay. So after you've answered any objections they have right away, you'll say something like this: Mr. Homeowner, Mrs. Homeowner, whatever. I really like everything I've heard today, and I like you. I like to say that too, and I like you. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to do some research because I don't honestly know enough just yet to make an offer, but I want to make an offer on this property. Can I call you back tonight at 6:00 and make an offer? Okay. Now, when I call you back at 6, and I make an offer, I'm going back to the Vaughn question. If I make an offer to you that makes you feel good at 6 tonight, what happens? Okay, do you see what I'm doing? I'm setting up a strong appointment time at 6:00. I'm confirming that at 6:00 tonight, I'm going to make an offer and they're going to make a decision. Okay.